song? Oh, that's sweet. Sounds good. I like the pants too.
So does Russ know you're here to greet? Yeah. Good. Greet today. I'm gonna go down and get some more cups. I'm gonna come next week. You are? I'm gonna come next week. Next week is, oh, Sandra's gonna do circles, talking about how we continue, how we pull ourselves up from down, how we start again. What does it take? It takes a lot of effort to be. It's a good thing today, huh? It was a hard thing today. I hope we get to sing again. Like that. But I like to sing.
Well, they have a choir from time to time, right?
Yeah.
First Sunday of the month, they meet and practice before services, right?
Yeah. Yeah. First Sunday?
First Sunday is, that'll be next month, next Sunday. Yep.
I'm coming.
Good.
Good. I can see.
That's right.
Ooh, who brought in donuts from Adams?
Reverend Steve.
Oh, I didn't know they did that. Donut.
Well, Steve just got here and brought.
Thanks, Steve. Whoever you are.
I don't know which way.
I don't know what the Adams donut.
I haven't been there in ages.
Oh, it's really cool. There's like donut.
Yeah.
Sandwiches.
Everything's good.
I go there just about any time I can. And I have a card for it too. Oh, perfect.
Oh, tea water, yes. Sherry, plug the tea water in. Is that all right, Dawn? Went downstairs getting the cups.
I haven't even. I work cups.
She needs coffee.
Those are coffee cups.
Well, she didn't give it to me, she got some.
Oh, good. Not only that, I got my own coffee cup.
That's why.
I have my own little coffee cup. How about that if you take in the fire? Just don't spill it along the way. Did you bring cream?
I did not. Should I go get some? I don't know where, and I don't want to go with my car.
Okay.
Do I have time to walk to the co-op?
No, no. I can
You
go.
got cups? You got cups. You can call somebody who's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Co-op, I have time, all the time, said.
Where are you parked?
Across the street.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, not across, I mean on the street, across the street.
Yeah.
Me, I probably right, like, right away.
I can do it.
Oh, that's right, she does something else. That's, no, because, yeah, you got red lights and stuff.
Call
and-
Pam Kelly, right? Okay. I'll call Pam.
Hey.
Annie's here.
Maestro extraordinaire. Here I am. So excited, can't wait to hear you.
Thank you very much. Pam. Steve might have already told her.
No, you not. No, I haven't been here. I made it.
You made it.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a lot? Excellent. Readers.
That's build a better mousetrap, right?
Yeah.
World will beat a path to your door, they say. You know what they say? They say
What do they
that.
say?
They say that. They say all you need is love, or something like that.
Yeah, hey, which reminds me, I gotta get my sign. Hi, how you doing?
Huh?
I'm sorry?
It's
Yeah,
true.
plug in.
And please let me introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and fame. Say a lot of things.
Let me open my
Yes.
guitar.
Which is the important message of that song.
Parish work.
Look at this. Move you that way so that my flowers don't.
Oh, so much happens in parish work. You have to have a series.
I'm gonna move it away from the flowers.
Outside. Yeah.
Thank you.
Look at this.
Well,
I can use that.
So, check this out.
Yeah.
This is me and Cord Dorsey.
I don't know who that is.
Cord Dorsey. He's a great
Yeah.
activist and musician.
Where was that?
Oh, it was just someplace we were playing together.
Yeah.
Needed a picture for something, so.
There you go.
All right, so I got some things just that I wanted to
You want
say.
to walk through that?
Yeah,
This?
yeah. I'll tell you what I got.
This sermon of mine's pretty long.
You tell me if you like it. Okay. So, it's an auspicious day today. It was, what's the matter?
I didn't print some things I needed, but I can manage. Go ahead.
It would have been my mother's birthday.
Oh, really?
My father died on my mother's birthday. So, no big deal, we're by that.
Okay.
So someplace, I want to do,
Let me get a pen.
okay,
Is this
take your time,
memory I don't trust?
I know. I want to read that poem, and then I want to do a Pete Seeger song after it, which is, you know this poem? Funeral Blues.
Let's start from the start.
Okay,
So
so
you're
the
gonna
first thing I'm going to do when
hold
I,
on. You're gonna play a little prelude, something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
you'll always live inside of me.
You'll always live inside. Okay. Live inside. Okay. And then I'll do like a call to worship thing,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna play a prelude. What's that gonna be?
Let me see, I'm going to do, well, this is what I got. When I Die, that's an uplifting song.
Yeah.
Love Carry Me Home. I don't know if you want that after we do Joys and Sorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
so then,
So the prelude would be.
this is a kind of, I'd like to do this poem, and I'd like to do Pete Seeger's To My Old Brown Earth, because it's Memorial Day.
Okay, so you're gonna do the poem and the Seeger song.
Yep, it'll
Okay.
be quick, yep,
Okay, that's in the prelude together.
yep.
All right. I'll do the little chalice reading. We'll do the prayer, centering hymn. You can have people will sing along with, what was the one you first mentioned there? The one we all
You'll
love.
always live inside me?
No,
That one? Or
the other
Rise Up, or When I Die? Or,
When I Die.
okay, that's gonna be, not scared of dying,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
okay, yeah, whatever you want.
When I Die.
Yep,
Oh, that's such a great song.
yep.
Who sings that?
It was Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go. All right, then we'll do the congregational covenants, and then I'm going to skip the reading and let you. Why don't you do the poem there?
Well, the poem and the song has to go together.
They do.
Yeah, because
Well,
it's
what else
very
can we
intense.
what else can we substitute in there? And move that
What
down
part
there.
of the service is it?
Prelude.
Okay,
So you're coming in when you'll
you'll
always.
always live inside of me,
Sorry,
always.
okay.
Yeah.
I do a little intro, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna move the poem and the Seeger song down to the reading of the way.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
I got this great, What's That I Hear by Fellows. What's that I hear ringing in my ears?
Let's do that here.
Okay,
Oaks song.
okay.
What do I hear? What do I hear? Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
And then I preach.
Yeah, and then I'll have that.
So the poem and song goes over here.
Yeah, Love Carry Me Home. That should be after everybody. says their song, you know.
So let's,
When the waters are deep, friends carry me over.
don't do that there, because we gotta sing that friend song, don't we?
It's just a little something in the hymnal. I don't even know if I know that. What is it?
'Cause-
Oh, we do it there? To
Yeah.
my life I give my home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you sing that?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so that's right here.
Yeah.
Prayer friends. And
Love
then
carry me home.
Love Carry Me Home is down here.
Okay.
Okay. And then prelude, whatever you want to do, whatever left.
Phil Oaks, you don't want to do that
We
one?
did
Oh,
the Oaks up
is
here.
up top.
Yeah.
Love carry me home. How about my Rise Up song?
Rise up.
My own song.
Okay.
Or, you know, we have this, because you're talking about where we're going, I had just this little, we are going, heaven knows where
And,
we are
yeah.
going.
That's good.
We know we will.
Maybe that should be right after the sermon, but no, that's going there. All right, because we got a lot of stuff, and my sermon is freaking too long. So.
Okay.
So heaven knows where we are going. What number is that? People could sing along with that.
I don't know, I just.
I think it's in here.
What did I want to say? You know, if this is any insight to you, we're talking about the 7 covenants, right?
Yeah, the
Well,
7 principles.
listen,
Yeah.
I was relating them to the 7 chakras. And
Okay.
what is it? It's your base chakra, and then how you relate in the world, and then energy, heart, throat, seeing, here, and then divine. And I didn't know how that would fit into what you were talking about. I was like, okay, well, that's just what I was thinking.
Do you have a? When
Oh, you know what
in
else
your
I got
hymnal,
for
do you have
songs?
this?
No, I'll take it too. Listen, how about this? Woke up this morning, smile with the rising sun.
Yeah, that Marley tune.
3 little birds on my doorstep. Then I go, one love, one heart, let's get
When?
together. Why don't we do that at the end instead of my rise up song?
Okay. So we're not going to do Heaven Knows Where We're Going.
Oh yeah, well, wherever, I got a lot of songs for you. You put them wherever you want.
Love Carry Me Home. You want to pick 2 out of those 3. So
Well, I want Love Carry Me Home. It's a
okay, and
beautiful song.
then so it's either the Marley collection or it's Heaven Knows Where We're Going.
The Marley collection.
Do Marley.
Yeah,
All right, so the postlude is Marley.
yeah, and then just nice and easy.
Okay. And I'll remind you. I'll announce
Oh,
them
that's-
as each way go through.
I was looking forward to it all week to see
Yeah.
it.
Good.
So have you ever seen this? Stop the clocks, cut off the telephone,
I think
prevent the dogs from barking
Maybe.
with a juicy bone. Basically, he's gone. I was thinking of all the people
I
in
think I've
Palestine
heard
and
that,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I want to do, I'll have people sing that Pete Seeger song. To my old brown oak, to my old blue sky, I now give these last few molecules of I.
And that's going to go in the reading. I'm going to
Yeah.
give over the reading.
Yeah, so
Okay.
let me just give you a heads up with
I'll give you a hit
the
again.
poem,
Yeah.
and then to my old brown oak, because it's Memorial Day.
Yeah. Super duper.
Thank you so much. See what I got? I got somebody doing the tango. Woo! I love the tango. Okay, I'll tune up and we'll be ready to go.
You look up and there's people. Crazy.
So I think it's
Huh?
time for the prayer. Here's my favorite day paper.
Dun, 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 dun,
I always talk about that. That's what my cord. I'd rather do that. I like to be loosey-goosey. Inside of me. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go. 'You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven. You'll always live inside of me. Tho Anybody wants to try that, they can. You'll always live inside of me, always. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven, you'll always live inside of me. Anybody want to try that?
You'll always live inside of me.
Always.
You'll always live inside of me.
Though you may die and go to heaven, you'll always live inside of me. You'll always live inside of me. Always.
Always.
You'll always live inside of me. Little change in this verse. Though you may sleep with someone else tonight, you'll always live inside of me. Give it a try. I want to hear you.
You'll always live inside of me.
Always.
You'll always live inside of me.
Though you may die and go to heaven, you'll always live inside of me. So just for one moment, think of somebody that was in your life and they moved on. Whether they made their way to the other side, whether it was a relationship that didn't work out, whatever it was, just think about that just for a moment. Today's my mother's birthday. My father passed on my mother's birthday, and I'm thinking about them, just sending them some love. So just one time, think about something, feel something in your life that you'd like to send this love out to. And it goes, you'll always live inside of me. Always. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may die and go to heaven, you'll always live inside of me. You'll always live inside of me. Always. You'll always live inside of me. Though you may sleep with someone else tonight, you'll always live inside of me. Thank you.
Slight nod to our polyamorous friends snuck in that song there. Welcome. Welcome to your church, All Souls. Welcome to Memorial Day weekend. Always a special challenge, right? Memorial Day weekend is this weird combination of like the start of summer and barbecues and big races and fun, and a memorial to those who've lost their lives in war particularly, and then in addition all those we've lost. And that's, I always find it a paradoxical weekend. Today I'm going to talk for too long, quite honestly, just in preparation, but importantly about Article 2. So we were going to do a traditional Memorial Day service, but Article 2 is a vote coming up for the UUA. You'll hear too much about that in not too long. And while I'm carrying on up here, I would encourage you to just greet your neighbor, and Annie's going to prepare to sing us a Phil Oakes song. So just say hello.
Hello.
And hello to those at home on Zoom as well. Anybody at home on Zoom or no? Yeah. So if you're at home on Zoom, there we go.
What's that I hear ringing in my ear? I've heard that sound before. What's that I hear ringing in my ears? I hear it more and more. It's the sound of freedom calling, rising up to the sky. It's the sound of the always falling. You can hear it if you try. Can hear it if you try. Can hear it if you try. What's that I see shining in my eyes? I've seen that light before. What's that I see shining in my eyes? I see it more and more. It's the light of freedom shining, rising up to the sky. It's the side of the always falling. You can see it if you try. Can see it if you try. Can see it if you try. What's that I feel beating in my heart? I feel it more and more. What's that I feel beating in my heart? I feel it more and more. It's the love of freedom calling, rising up to the sky. It's the love of the always falling. Can you
Our chalice words come from William Schultz. If you want to, it's 4:59. If you want to join with me. Annie, would you light the chalice off one of those things? There's some candles back there. Our normal Vatican-like start. William Schultz was the president of the UUA and then also went on to become the president of Amnesty International for a period of time. He says, join with me if you can, 4:59. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. Let's find a still spot in our hearts. Once upon a time, chemists believed they could transform lead into gold or death into life. We laugh. But are we not also in the business of alchemy? Turning loneliness into connection, path into pain, into comfort, anger into solidarity, faith into action. The subtle magic of church combines love with justice, creates hope out of fear, transforms individuals into community. Here, at our best at least, we engage in a holy alchemy, finding beauty in the ordinary and life in the present. Come, let us be transformed together. Annie's going to sing When I Die, a Blood, Sweat, and Tears song. so she doesn't get a chance to rest today too much. No resting for the wicked. So you'll pick this one up for if you're on Cirrus 70s a lot. She's looking for the Blood, Sweat, and Tears copyright permissions.
Look at that. Oh,
There we go.
I thought appropriate songs, believe it or not, people think I think sometimes I just get up here and I spend a lot of time feeling, especially this weekend with it being Memorial Day.
And could you go by the mic so people on Zoom can hear you?
Okay. Yo.
You want to pull that up front here?
Yes, please.
Yeah, there we go.
Not scared, dying, and I don't really care. It's peace, finding, dying, well, that's the time we need. Woo! It's peace, finding, dying, and dying time is near. Move on, my coffee goes cold way down there, goes cold way down there. When I'm dead, dead and gone, there'll be one child born in this world to carry on, to carry on. Said troubles are many, they're as weak as a bell. Can swear there is a heaven, but I pray there ain't no hell. Swear there is a heaven, I pray there ain't no hell. I'll know my living on my dying will tell, on my dying will tell. And when I'm dead, dead and gone, there'll be one child born in the world to carry on, to carry on. Said, give me my freedom for as long as I be. All I ask of living is to have no chains on me. All I ask of living is to have no chains on me. And all I ask of dying is to go naturally, you know, go naturally. And when I'm dead, dead and gone, there'll be one child born in this world to carry on, carry on. Don't wanna go by the devil, don't wanna go by the demons, don't wanna go by Satan, don't wanna go on easy. And when I'm dead, dead and gone, there'll be one child born in this world to carry on. There'll be one child born in this world to carry on. There'll be one child born in this world to carry on.
Yeah. There we go. Easy pickings for me today here, I'll tell you. Annie's picking up everything. You guys wrote a covenant. It's good. We should read it. Join in with me. In this house, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of the oppressed, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is. It's great. Annie's going to read a poem, and she's going to sing a song from, I can't read my notes.
Yeah.
But this is dedicated to her parents, and a chilling poem about the brown earth.
Let's see here.
Do you want to come up here?
It's Memorial Day. I was on YouTube the other night and I saw a little boy being interviewed. He was 5. He said, Palestinian boy, he said, what do you want? He said, I want to die. He said, I don't have any food. I don't have any water. I don't have any family. So that's this, it's called this is too loud if you can turn it down, Mike, thanks. Funeral Blues. Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the piano and with muffled drum, bring out the coffins, let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message, they are dead. They are dead. Put crepe bows around the white necks of the public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. They were my north, my south, my east and west, my working week, my Sunday rest. My noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the woods, for nothing now can come to any good. I'd like you to sing this Pete Seeger song with me. I thought I'd follow it with something a little more uplifting, but I have to be a whole person. I have to take in the whole thing. Too much. To my old brown, to my old blue sky, I now give these last few molecules of I. You
This is a turn of spirit from Memorial Day. But it's important. Probably in some childish, immature way that helped me initially cope with the challenge of accurately clarifying the stakes of the upcoming vote at GA. I decided that every time I was going to say Article 2, which is the banner for this vote that's headed our way, this is pretty significant, I was going to keep it interesting by doing so as if I were Luther Vandross in a sexy, breathy R&B late-night DJ kind of way. I didn't plan on doing that in order to disparage the importance of Article 2, or Article 2. Exactly the opposite, in fact. The upcoming vote at GA is, I believe, the most important political moment. Can you turn this down just a little bit, too, if you don't mind? In our UU life, it's certainly the most important vote in my life, and I feel a certain shame that I haven't really dealt with it in any of the congregations that I'm connected to. I was commissioned by Kate and also by someone in the Billerica Church to explore it, so I've done this. It's going to be voted on in the 4th week of June. And we're asked to consider ways that we make Unitarian Universalism, at least how we initially present ourselves to the world, more poetic. More initially appealing and inviting than some people think the 7 principles are thought to be. Adding a sultry voice to my effort to do this was my thought to add a little fun to what they asked when they commissioned the study to be something a little bit more poetic. However, as I proceeded through the complexity and the breadth and the seriousness of the topic, it brought me to a place of sobriety that made me reluctantly feel like the fun wasn't worth the potential indignity of this role in that moment. Article 2, is a proposal for a change in the guiding principles and images that define and govern us. You can kind of think about that. To be geeky specific, the GA vote is on proposed changes to Article 2, Section C of the bylaws that guide the Unitarian Universalist Association. Part of the changes proposed to Article 2, which is presently titled Principles and Purposes. Most of us wouldn't know that. I didn't even know that. Is among the changes being proposed to be Principles and Covenants. Can you see why my initial instinct to sex it up a little was necessary? As I've said before, and we feel compelled to again, I don't feel like I'm here to convince anyone on any particular position. I feel like I've been commissioned to explain something, which was really the initial first time I really dug into this. Importantly, the changes proposed don't come from out of the blue. Whether you think the upcoming vote is a blessing or a curse, we're here because this moment of ours, in the Free Association of Unitarian Universalists, we decided a long time ago that what was going to be under our banner was going to be, by mandate, edited every 15 years. They were going to bring up things just to revise them, right? Mindful as UUs always are that, to be religiously stagnant is its own crime, right? So many religious movements spend forever looking back and clumsily tripping over themselves to be present. We did not want to do that. Back in 2009, roughly 15 years ago, as mandated, we did a similar review, but nothing much came of it. Article 2, of whether one says it with a sultry or a sober or an excited or a fearful voice, is a proposal to change how we think about ourselves internally and how we, at least initially, present our small movement with big aspirations to the world. I don't have a full grasp on what the implications of it will be if it passes this summer, or even the consequences, or if it doesn't. Probably nobody does. However, they sound at least potentially significant. Passing Article 2 requires 2/3 of a vote at this year's General Assembly in 2024, as did the initial proposal last year in 2023. It will change our movement's first impression from the 7 principles, which you can find if you're lost to them, they're in the hymnal. They're right up in the front there. They're in the back of the order of worship, and the image that's likely to take its place if it passes is a colorful version of what's on our order of service in the front. They wanted something more colorful and concise. Perhaps more importantly than how we choose to present ourselves to the world is how the newly written Article 2 alters our self-perception. Article 2 moves us, at least to a degree in language, from being a free gathering of associations served by the UUA. I'm going to say that again. It shifts, at least in the language, the bylaws of the UUA from being a free, by being a gathering of free associations served by the UUA, to the UUA being a little more freed up to become something more akin to an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and intentionally multicultural organization that runs churches, right? There's a, said a different way, but similarly, Article 2 offers subtle but potentially important changes in the language that moves Unitarian Universalism from being a church tradition steeped in freedom of thought and a long-standing autonomy of individuals and churches to behave in their own way, to being more intentionally dedicated, committed, and accountable to being anti-racist, multicultural, and anti-oppressive in all of its actions. You should now be grabbing a feel for, like, what's at stake, good or bad, no matter how you feel. I feel both ways. If mandated this 15-year review of our bylaws is why you are listening to a boring sermon on church polity now and not a Memorial Day service, the changes that are being voted on could have a significant ways and come from the progressive movements like Black Lives Matter and our adoption and always in tune evolution with what's going on out in the broader world. UUs are like the conservative churches critique us for being flexible. They say, like snakes, flexible. And I say that's cruel and anti-pagan. Article 2 is what it is because so many active UUs are willing to call out our role as a historic church in sustaining the status quo in America as being racist. In keeping with that ethos, is expressed in the language of Article 2, a more critical look at our heritage than we're used to, we're accustomed to. All this makes Article 2 at least a little bit about how willingly self-critical we're comfortable as a movement in churches being. I'll soon provide a passionate rant. I think you'll enjoy it. It might be hard to hear. I'm going to passionately rant on both sides just to give the emotive feel, or at least my interpretation of it. But here's a little of how it gets made. I'll go quickly. Back about 6 or 7 years ago, just a little bit before COVID, back in the 2018 and 2019 General Assemblies, there was this commissioning to revise these things, as there always is. They wanted to look at fresh eyes what the values and the sources of inspiration, which are the 6 sources, if you know that, you can look at those, are for UUs today. Not what they really were 30 years ago, but what they are today. Among the first questions asked was, are the seven principles and the 6 sources a little bit behind them, are what are important to UUs now? And is that how we want to explain ourselves to the world moving forward for the next couple decades? Over the past 3 years, as the process got closer, so it started 6 or 7 years ago, it got winding up over the last 3 years, studies, surveys, guides, open interviews, a lot of stuff went on. As information from those sources got incorporated, drafts of what became Article 2 was prepared at the 22, 23, and will be voted on at the 24 process. Although even before that, there was these things called the Commission on Appraisal and other sort of surveys led the people surveying this to realize that the phrase love, as it demands action and just is a warm fuzzy, was more important to UUs than it was to other similar church traditions and other sort of like-minded ally civic groups. So Love became, that's why Love's in the center. Although the process of, they came from earlier things, they also realized that the most new energy was around anti-oppressive stuff and making us a little bit more committed to the process of equity, clearly anti-racism, and then liberation, right, and anti-oppression in all the forms, LGBTQ, disabilities, all of that. There's a feeling that UUs, if there's an energy pushing forward, it's that UUs do a lot of talking and not a lot of action. So the Article 2 is designed to have at least a little bit of teeth to it that grab us and sort of could hold us accountable in ways that are not yet clear. So, just before anybody thinks it's like some coup, long before George Floyd was murdered, Black Lives Matter started, and COVID made Zoom not first or thing that race cars do. Many UUs had the notion of really standing up for the rights of the disabled, people of color, people of different sexual identities, preferences, etc., on their hearts. It should be known that much we've always focused on at GA, or generally what UUs get excited about, are social justice things. Being morally and politically engaged is who we are, and people have always gone to GA with their own agendas. This year, uniquely, it won't be, the debate at GA might be these things, but it won't primarily be these things. It won't be about whether the Gaza situation demands more of our collective attention than, say, ensuring voter rights does. Delegates' minds will not be more on whether we should focus on ensuring reproductive rights is a higher priority than the environment. In addition to of course, what feels timely in the world, which inevitably finds its way into GA always, it'll be about this debate. Take a bite down on the phrase, held in covenant with and by the UUA to be accountable to one another. I'm going to read that again. Held in covenant with and by the UUA to be accountable to one another. That vague phrase may be at the heart of what's at stake, and not clear to maybe anyone except people who have a clear vision of what they want to do. People may be for or against changing the portion of our bylaws. Congregants may feel like they've been appropriately informed by religious leaders like me, who's done very little, than they could have been or should have been. However, what I think is unfair to say is that the process has been clandestine in nature, which is a little bit of some of the accusations on the websites and stuff. There have been forums and hearings, like I said. I can say with a mildly embarrassed humility of a minister who's barely engaged in this that, you know, I kind of ignored it too. That's enough about the process. If you have any more questions, you can bring it to me. I think what's important now is to feel the energy behind both sides. So, if a critique were for the sake of poignancy be elevated to a rant, so this is an exaggerated sort of version of it, it might go something like this. This is an anti-Article 2 character, not me playing a role. Are you kidding me? At the point at which our congregations, like nearly every volunteer and donation, volunteer-led funded civic institution, are hemorrhaging members and volunteers and money and even relevance, the next generation, we're going to spend our time revising what are already popular principles? Really? That's what we're going to do? I don't have the statistics, but does everyone the UUA hires have to be a person of color or someone who identifies somewhere on the LGBTQ spectrum now? Or someone with a disability? I'm certain I will be critiqued for being oppressively racist in this rant, but it feels worth noting that the UUA has continually felt compelled to hire leaders and bring aboard ministers almost exclusively from identities that are disproportionate to those who sit in the pews across our country. Let me ask you in this rant, what other organization committed to the success or even the potentially the survival of itself would ever choose to tie their hands to an agenda so antagonistic to the primary demographic that fills their ranks and their coffers? The answer is obvious, isn't it? A group of leaders more committed to asserting one angle and viewpoint on how to make the world a better place than the well-being of the organization and the members they presume and are compelled to represent. That's who. In this rant, I would say I believe that although the UUA hardly prints stories in the world, its publication, if you don't know, about these matters, it might be interesting to see a story that highlights at the same time we're hiring people from a variety of diverse identities, people are leaving the pews in record numbers. Certainly, no doubt, COVID and social trends far beyond our control are a huge factor in that. But is it the only one? I know this is a little off topic of Article 2, I would say, in this rant, but since we have become more intentionally anti-racist and oppressive and intentionally attempting to be welcoming to multicultural peoples, ask yourself, with all those efforts, has there been a significant jump in members, leaders, children, donors from traditionally disenfranchised groups who are choosing to represent us and speak for? I don't think so. I know it sounds harsh, I know it will ruffle feathers, but it must be asked. Is our effort to be anti-racist, oppressive, and multicultural part of why we're shrinking? I don't really suspect the answer to that is a big yes. Church attendance is down in almost every tradition, but it hasn't helped us grow. Although we live in a time when nearly every UU can identify that there are profound economic and cultural advantages to being white in America, and many, potentially even most UUs are comfortable uttering the quiet new UU creed, yes, I and we live in a white supremacist culture. That does not necessarily mean for most UUs that we should impose an entire transformation or attempted one on our own culture. The forces behind Article 2 think it does. At the heart of why most UUs are opposed to Article 2 is that it's not because they don't believe racism is real. Everyone knows racism is real who's a UU, who's not some lunatic. It doesn't mean from those UUs that every legitimate path forward has to direct our attention on those issues. UUs care about racism, oppression, and equity a whole lot more. But they also like effective, growing churches, too. Let me also step back just to remind everyone here that the UUA was built to serve, not lead the loose association of congregations that make it up and are defined by our congregational polity, some of our earliest commitments, not the other way around. Those presently advocating for this change seem to have forgotten that. Let all who have ears to hear it, the changes proposed in Article 2 are not primarily about a poetic flower. They're designed primarily to liberate themselves from the duty and reverse who is accountable to who. That's a lot. So I close on a more forming note, and many of these voting against the changes do admit the image of a series of laden values you see on the order of service around a center of love being our first handshake with the broader world. It isn't as bad as I thought. It's a little easier on the eyes than I had imagined. I mean, after all, the seven principles do feel like Eleanor Roosevelt wrote them 75 years ago, which I'll give you as a cute way of saying they're outdated. The real question is whether that flower has a Trojan horse attached to it. A flowery effort to get a new wave of UU leaders that want to be more in control of what looks like a non-profit anti-racist organization than an organization that serves churches. I'm concerned that just around the corner is whether the UUA can, under the banner of all that's being covenanted together, not encourage but essentially demand that congregations hold themselves accountable to the way leaders in the UUA determines anti-racism to be? Essentially, I want to know if that flower has underneath those petals thorns. Those concerned or opposed to Article 2 want to know if the real leaders behind the construction of the change in that language think what they think they've won if it passes. And of course, I want to ask the big questions that no one else is asking. Will it help our churches grow? Not in moral purity, as important as that is, but as in real numbers. Is it fair and just and responsible for the UUA to attempt to, for the first time ever, bind our historically free collection of churches to an anti-racist, anti-oppressive decisions that may not serve their own individual church needs to survive? And I want to know why the UUA wants to bind churches to a covenant containing a veiled political agenda that sounds like it might be onerous to not agree to, when we already have a long-standing, functioning, and flexible means of choosing what political interests UUs want to put their resources towards at any given time. What is it that a set of truly moral concerns are important? Why anti-racism and not pro-democracy and environmental issues? Let me be clear to those just checking in on the debate in my little rant as we approach GA. The proposed changes that emphasize the collective and de-emphasize individualism, which is in a political sense a softer way of advertising that the UUA wishes to take the language that guarantee UUs have a right to their own individual freedom of belief out of the new covenant. Let that one sit. At a time when nearly all UUs would identify themselves as opposed to oppression and racism, the changes proposed demand that we do. By adding language like accountability and covenanting together, Article 2 doesn't demand it. It sets us in a forced relationship with a standard that hasn't yet been set. Efforts were made to re-add those words, free and responsible church, and they were not allowed back in. Why? The answer is because the UUA doesn't want us in small churches and as individual UUs to have that much control. I would encourage you not to sleep on the idea that having our right of conscience and freedom of belief is now phrased as part of our heritage, and the exact same phrasing that our Judeo-Christian past is part of our heritage. Those who have not followed the story should know that the revisions that replace the 7 principles, which are allowed to be related to in our own way, with a series of values and covenants that we may not be able to relate to entirely freely. As noble as intentioned as their aims may be, I would encourage you to resist the UUA who are impatient and frustrated with our existing democratic process of deciding what's morally important because they think they know better. That is what quietly is really at stake. That's the end of my anti-Article 2 rant. Here's the pro-Article 2 rant, okay?
Wonder if I should do something in between that, the pro and the negative.
Let me just go.
Okay.
We'll
I want to support you.
This is the thing. This is the pro-Article 2 rant. Wow. When I listen to you, I think you're bearing more of your own hidden fears and agenda and imaginary things than you're letting on. That truly did meet the assignment of ranting. The trouble is, I don't think you're representing nearly as many people as you think you are. See, I don't think the fact that your fears that people of color or people with disabilities or people with novel pronouns that you didn't even mention that fear is shared by many UUs these days, certainly some like yourself, but not most. When you were describing those in favor of Article 2, you seem to be trying to paint a picture where there's some kind of cabal of new UU leaders who've all recently arrived, or been hired that threaten the majority of UUs, and all they've generally held true. I could almost hear when you said that, your brain translating that literally thousands of people who've not only engaged in the painstakingly long effort to keep our tradition relevant are not normal UUs. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? That they're not really normal or good UUs? See, I see what you're trying to do. And more UUs tune into this vote. You're trying to sully those newly in tune to this, that they're not in keeping with our tradition, which is absolutely not true. Let me be clear. Everyone in the UUA or involved in the UUA is still well aware that we are made up predominantly by straight, cisgendered, white, liberal people. The very congregants, I might have you know, that put up Black Matter signs in front of their churches, that push for police reform, then alongside many other UUs not only talked about, but work diligently to create the world that's fair and just and systematically anti-oppressive. Article 2 is nothing more than a step forward in ensuring that we are not hypocrites. Isn't our Article 2's urgent yearning to put our values into action here on earth at this very moment what makes us unique as a church? Isn't lifting the political, cultural bar for how forward-thinking a church can actually be more of what we're known for than the 7 principles? Isn't what draws people to our evolving commitment to justice and agile ability for us as an institution to be the point of the progressive religious arrow? Isn't that what draws people here? Isn't that what makes our movement unique from other churches? We incorporate new moral truths of the moment into our very religion. It seems like you and your cries that your freedom is being curtailed have forgotten that. Have you forgotten that more than the church full of people who can believe anything they want, what we at our best are aspirational and active? Those in favor of changes written into Article 2 that know that if we don't stand up for our values in our own buildings, we're just NIMBYs and the religious version of limousine liberals. We're here in the early summer of 2024, thankfully granted the opportunity to finally, in a way we never really have before, center the voices of those in our society who have not been offered a platform, a microphone, or a church that holds up the truly religious, spiritual mission of liberating society to be whole. That is the fulfillment of our heritage, not commitments to freedom and to not doing that. And while I'm talking about the past you revere and fear we're leaving behind, have you forgotten that our heritage has always, as in the moment, not looked back but forward? As fun as empowering as it can be to talk about our connection to Emerson and Thoreau and Sophia Lyon Faz, those who plan on voting yes are aware that the real work of UUs is to carry their legacy forward. I think those opposed to this proposal have forgotten that a little. I will bet you that in the time, speaking to the anti-person, I'll bet you that in the time it takes me to finish my response to your speech, you'll not be able to come up with one name, one UU hero or heroine who did amazing things they did and lived the impressive lives that we revere today, who were primarily concerned about the UU heritage behind them. I'll bet you can't name one. And to return again to your suggestion that the changes made to Article 2 is a centerpiece of some kind of plot to ruin or steal our movement, or driven by some new cabal of leaders at the new UU headquarters at home in insidious Zoom chats, I think your accusations are sad, spurious, irresponsible, and ridiculous. Let me remind you and those listening that what you're complaining about has been vetted and voted on for years, and must be again voted on at GA and passed by a 2/3 vote 2 years in a row. Over the course of its work, the Commission stated in a recent letter broadly mailed to UUs that it had from the beginning of the process engaged in 45 feedback sessions that were participated in just under 5,000 participants. Moreover, videos produced by those involved in the Article 2 process reached just under 8,000 people. There's probably 140,000 UUs in the country. That's a decent, significant process. You failed to mention, by the way, in your suggestion that our movement was under threat to being blindly stolen away, that over the course of a process that started 6 years ago, no less than 29 different surveys were generated in preparation of an assessment of the proposal that's up for a vote in 2 or 3, 4 weeks. At the time of this letter, written less than 2 months ago, those surveys reached just under 11,000 respondents. As we approach what I think it's fair to call the final vote at the end of June, the number of UUs tuning in is, of course, growing exponentially day by day. But that's a pretty broadly participated in coup, if you ask me. So, let me ask you, person who rants against it, were you one of those that participated? Or were you one of those who just sat back comfortable in your church, would never have to be forced to make any changes, and you'd never have been asked to do anything more than say that you admired Martin Luther King as an effort to challenge racism? Are you like so many now, stepping up to throw your hands in the air and the conspiracies along with it? You're free to answer that as you like. I know that Article 2 can, with skeptical eyes, sound like its name was stolen from a clandestine proposal in a sci-fi movie. It does sound odd. It's not a line from a Bradbury novel. I feel you, though. Article 2 is a little funny a name. It just shows that it's just a line in the bylaws. What actually might be clandestine, however, is the complacency that lies behind your resistance to it. Isn't resistance to this effort to actually declare ourselves as UUs really behind something, placing our complacency and comfort? Isn't that really your chief concern? Isn't your resistance mostly about ensuring that we UUs do not have to engage in working towards the values we so boldly assert over the gritty collaborative work of bringing them to life? Isn't resistance to this really just another expression of our white fragility, our historic privilege, and our desire to look away from the way our institutions have benefited from a racist society? Despite your effort to throw shade on these changes by giving the changes a conspiratorial feel, it's accurately motivated by our desire to have a theological core, to not fumble out long-winded answers about what we're about. It's about clarifying that. Would those fearful of Article 2, Article 2, also like people to have the right to racially select who purchase their house and undo the Fair Housing Act as an act of individual choice? Isn't some level of a constraint on someone's freedom always the price for justice? Think about it. Would they or you, for the sake of freedom, like people to be free to drive cars that don't have catalytic converters, or free to paint inside their homes with lead paint because their conscience tells them to do so? Should we I ask you, should we allow the states to have greater freedom to who qualifies to vote, or to retain states' full freedom to determine their own gun or abortion laws? Awful quiet. Doesn't everything we UUs generally want to see in society really require a restriction of someone else's freedom for the collective good? If those who want to paint this as a debate between liberty and justice, okay, that's fair. Article 2 is about putting our commitment to justice over freedom. I'll say it. Article 2 is nothing more than an effort to hold ourselves internally accountable to nearly every policy change and social justice movement we've ever been in favor of our entire history. I'll close with simple questions, just to see where you feel this will help. I won't be brief. If you're not already asleep, I invite you to close your eyes and think about, as a meditative guidelines, for how you might wish to vote or want delegates from this church to vote. Here we go. If you're worried about a new generation of leaders in the administration of our churches, that they have their sights so much on an interest in advocating for a political agenda that seems to ignore the fact that we're a gathering of independent churches first, consider voting no. If you're unclear and uncomfortable, a little nervous about a group that feels empowered to suggest that you and your church should be held accountable for being equitable and engaged in acts of liberation, consider voting no. If you're more in tune with that frustration, consider voting no. If you think that the UUA should stand up and live up to its values and are willing to put that goal of a society and our own institutions as being anti-racist, anti-oppressive, diverse, and in favor of equity, please consider voting yes. Amen. Oh, the offertory. Oh.
I'm in favor of it.
We have one in favor of the offertory. Sounds good. I'll tell a quick little story. So this is about debate too. A fictitious time. The Pope was this is not true, so it's just a story. So when the Christian movement was getting started in Rome, there was still a number of Jews in Rome, and many of the Christians wanted the Jews to be expelled from Rome. Not true, but nonetheless. So the Pope said, okay, but I'll give the Jews a chance to respond to this debate by having a public debate. Since the Jewish people didn't speak Latin and the Latins didn't speak Hebrew, they decided to do a mimed debate. So there they gathered. They gathered in the middle of a huge crowd. They were up on a stage. The Pope started first. He stood up and put up 3, presumably indicating their commitment to the Trinity. So the Jewish leader stood up with his 3 and pulled it down and had 1. Jewish leader sat down. The Pope stood up and waved his hands up and into the air. Jewish leader stood up and took his hand and put it right down into the ground. Next, the Pope pulled out bread and wine, and the Jewish leader, not knowing what to do, pulled an apple out of his pocket. And the Pope declared the Jews free to stay and the victors. And they got back and they debriefed, and no one was really exactly sure what happened. And they said to the Pope, well, what happened? And the Pope said, well, I put up the Trinity. And then the Jewish leader basically said, yes, but it's still part of the monotheistic tradition. And then I raised my hands to the sky and waved them around and said, God is in heaven. And the Jewish leader responded by saying, yes, but God is right here down with us on earth as well. Amen. And then, of course, I pulled out the communion to show our allegiance to Jesus and the sacraments. And then the Jewish leader pulled out an apple to suggest we were still bound by original sin and connected to that story. When the Jewish leader was debriefed, an interesting other story, he said, so the Pope put up 3 fingers, I gave him the finger. And then he waved his hands around like he was basically saying all the Jews have to get out of this space. And I said, we're not going anywhere. And then they're like, what happened then? He goes, I wasn't sure what to do. It looked like the Pope pulled out his lunch, so I pulled out mine. Give generously for the life and work of our church. Yeah. Let's play a song.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is...
You know, we're talking about love here.
Yeah.
Anybody knows this song, please join in. Oh. Somebody online. Okay. So many songs I wanted to share with you today, but we're gonna do this one. It's called Love Carry Me Home. When the waters are deep, friends carry me over. When I cry in my sleep, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. When the waters are cold, friends carry me over. When I'm losing my hold, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. When I'm weary and cannot sleep, friends carry me over. Open your arms and take me in, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Take the gift I bring, friends carry me over. Deep within me life is singing, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Life offers a chance for friends to carry us over. Time can stop or dance forever, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Yes, life offers a chance for friends to carry us over. Time can stop or dance forever, love call me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Time ferries me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home.
Thank you. It's now time for joys and concerns. If you're new, this is like intercessory prayers. It's a chance to briefly share what's on your heart. It's also a chance for new people to just stand up and introduce themselves to us. And we can usher the microphone around to you, and I'll light candles while Kate does that.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jamie. I'm fairly new here. I want to share a concern. I live in the Patch in Turner's Falls, and one of my neighbors across the street, wow, that's loud, Um, yeah. One of my neighbors across the street just lost his young dog last night. Dog's name is Socks. Is like a brown dog with white paws. So if any of you are around the patch or around town and in Turner's Falls, please keep an eye out for it. Thanks.
Morning. My name is Russ. I had the joy a few days ago of spending time in the research library in Old Deerfield trying to find the roots of our congregation. Next year, we're going to turn 200. And for the first time, I read documents over 200 years old holding these things, which felt so precious. And for the first time, reading names of some of the men who attended our very first meeting on Bank Row in June of 1825. So confirming what we'd already believed, that it was primarily people from the first Congregational Church in Greenfield that left that church to form our, what was called then the Third Congregational Society of Greenfield. So it felt reverential to be holding and reading those documents. Thank you.
I want to especially thank Steve for doing the sermon for me. Thank you. Also, this is his last regular Sunday with us. He's gotten busy elsewhere. Not enough Sundays in the month. So anyway, and he brought donuts from Adams.
But you guys got me a nice gift of tools and stuff. So thank you. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Steve.
I'm sure we'll find a way to be back together again.
I'd also like to thank Steve for taking on a thing with an amazing sense of being able to look at things on many sides. Yes. And that is exactly what we're experiencing in the church. Sure. Struggles. And I'd like to say that I come from Quakerism, where the services are silent and the people speak out of the silence, only when moved by the spirit of whatever you want to say, God. And then I moved into Unitarian Universalism because of its sincere activism. And we are in a period of time when everything is exploding in change. And it's so hard to figure out how to wend our way through all that's happening right now. And I really appreciate Steve for doing such a good job at trying to show us how to see things on different sides. It's important. And make one little contribution that comes really out of Quakerism, but I used it when I was facilitating social justice programs for UU churches, kind of across the country. We used a fishbowl. We had a group in the middle who were talking about where they were coming from, what the challenges they had. And they were very sincere, and they had prepared well. Then we had another group that was around the outside. And when we were trying to problem solve, the people on the outside did a sort of Quakerism kind of thing. They would reflect on what they'd heard from the center and from the people in the center. And between the two, we could juggle. But it meant that everybody heard everybody. And that process is probably useful. It's been on my mind. Strategic questioning also.
Good
morning, I'm Rob, and in the spirit of equal time, I want to appreciate Annie. And in particular, the courage to share a poem about the grim side of Memorial Day. And it makes me want to ask you, Steve, to light a candle of deep sorrow for the lesson that humanity cannot seem to learn, that it is not about power over, it is about having power with. Thank you. And I'd also like to write a candle. No, I'd like to light a candle of joy that my friend Peter pleasantly surprised me and is here in our service today. And also that yesterday my beloved daughter came down while I, in my pitiful way, was trying to learn heart and soul on the piano, and sat right down and played the other side just so naturally, and then afterwards got so inspired that she color-coded the keys so that she can explore some other ways. And nothing, well, not nothing, but it was a total gift to see her expressing her musicality.
My kids have,
You'd think I'd be able to hold the microphone like this and not turn it off. Okay, well, my joy is that my family has set up home care, that if I needed anyone to drive me anywhere, and this one woman was available every Wednesday, and I was chatting with her and about our beliefs and stuff, and I said, I think you would enjoy coming to All Souls. And she said, yeah, but I'm an atheist. And I said, so am I. Buddhism is the only atheist religion, because when Siddhartha attained enlightenment, they said, are you a god? And he said, no, I'm just awake and aware. He was woke in modern terms. And they said, that's sort of surprising, but it is the only atheist religion. And I said, and you're welcome here. They don't turn away atheists.
Hi, I'm Ellen, and so I've been suffering from some kind of anxiety and fear and stuff that's kind of free-floating, and I don't know that there is a candle for that. So I'd rather talk about my brother, who, my brother is 10 years younger than me. He's my father's son, and he's been suffering from cancer, recurrence of cancer, but he's the most cheerful, most optimistic person I've ever known, and even with his disease, he is just positive and sure of himself and all that. So when he called me this week to ask the information on my birth date and where I was born and all that, and he's filling out forms for a second citizenship in Antigua, so dual citizenship. Something about being able to leave the country and live in Canada for several months and other places and not have to be here, because if Trump is elected, he doesn't want to be in a country where the people are that stupid. So, and so this is actually a candle of concern for my brother, who has never seemed to worry about anything, and now he's very scared. And I'm the one who's optimistic, because I refuse to believe it's possible. But, so there we are. And
anybody on Zoom have anything?
I'll take one. One for the Gipper. You got a mic? have a mic. Oh, here we go. So, is it on? Am I still on there? Can you hear me? I can. Oh, you can hear me. So, I want to light a candle for Steve and say what an honor it has been for me to be with such a person who looks behind the curtain. You know, they say, don't look behind the curtain. He asks the hard questions for all of us to look at and really make a clear decision. And that takes a lot of a person. I knew it was a hard thing that he was working with today. I thought he did a beautiful job. And it's just been wonderful, Steve. It's been really great to work with you. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. I hope we do it again sometime. Yeah, a light for your light and truth and honesty in difficult situations. Thank you for that.
We'll get the band back together.
I've got a candle I'd like you to light, my birthday candle. It was last Sunday. I was not here. I was up in Heath with about a dozen commune buddies from the commune in the 70s in Ithaca. Came for a reunion and to celebrate my birthday, and it was lovely.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kay. Happy birthday to you and many more.
Let's sing our
I just
song.
wanted to light a candle for UUs. We are the model of white allies. And this new concept of our covenant and our purposes proves that we can continue to find ways to be the white allies we are in order for people to have a home who may not be white. Because soon enough, when they see us and feel us, they know we're not just white. We happen to have a purpose and an accountability.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
So I'd like to do the prayer to friends. If there's no other people, please join me. To this day I bring my light, born of hope, born of sin.
Yeah, it's in your hymnal. It's a loose piece
We'll
right in the
start
front.
again. We
Yep.
can start again.
Yep.
In the hymnal, insert, we'll try it again. Am I too low? I'll try to go a little higher. To this day I bring my light, born of hope, born of sin, yearning joy where now there's strife. All I am, all I am. Help me to see the God I must see. Help me to see where I must be. Restless faith abides till all are free. Turn my life, turn my hand. And with that, do we have one more song, Steve, on the way going out? Or?
I have closing words.
Wonderful.
Oh, you're trying to steal those from me. In the last century, we've obviously continued our destructive pattern. It is estimated that there were over 100 million people that died in war. 100 million people. Most of which never asked for the war, never were on a side that would win much in a war. Paul Robeson's words. He says, I shall take my voice whenever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom or the words that might inspire hope and courage. In the face of despair and fear, my weapons are peaceful, for it is only by peace that peace can be attained. The song of freedom must prevail.
touching. We're taking this on the road.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So many songs. Kate actually asked me for one, and maybe we could do two. Thank you for staying. Thank you so much for coming and grappling with difficult questions. Rise up and show the world you care and give love. Give love, you know, it's not sharing. Take touch, birds are bearing. We can stand together and way. Well, look around the world, we see our families crying. Doesn't seem to matter all the things we're trying. Another needle in the arm is just a message. Today is not it's time for healing. Rise up and show the world you care. Give love, give love. You know it's worth taking heart. Take heart. Burdens are for bearing. We can stand together, build a brand new way. Sing out and hear the truth already. We can change it all because taste is singing from the beginning. We can use our hearts as voices. New day is dawning in a brand new way. Rise up and show the world you care. Give love, you know that it's worth caring. Take heart, burdens are for bearing. We can stand together in a brand new way. Take heart, burdens are for bearing. We can stand together, build a brand new way. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got to announce. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a performance. Okay, sit down. Okay, thank you. Announcements are coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to sing your announcement, though. That's the new challenge. So Annie has set a high standard for us. That's exactly right.
Announcements so that the coffee and the donuts and all that stuff get eaten. Who's got an announcement?
Hi, please, not this next Sunday, but the Sunday afterwards. It's really important that people are here because it's not Article 2, but it's our own future agreements that we want to get clear on and have a congregational vote on. So I think it's the 8th, is that right? The 9th. So please, if you can, come, and also if you know any folks who you can ask to come, that's a special day for us to make our voices heard.
It will be following the flower communion, and I'm hoping we could get another picture, a community picture, because it's been many years since we had a congregational picture.
So we should be having our Social Justice Committee meeting on the 9th, and I don't know how that works. Do we not do that?
I don't think so. I think that we would want you at the annual meeting.
Yeah.
Hi. If anybody's here for the first time, we have a guest book in the entryway. We'd love it if you'd put your name in there. If you'd like to hear from us in the future, put some contact information. If you don't want to hear from us, don't bother leaving it. And one more announcement. There's a room off of the entryway that has old carpeting that desperately needs to be replaced. And I have some sample books of some different carpeting patterns and colors that we can choose from. So after the service, if anybody would like to come into that room just to take a look and say, hey, I like that one or that one, we might not choose it, but at least hearing from other people would give us a better idea of, you know, how we want to move forward. Thanks.
Joan?
I'm Joan Pillsbury, and I, a couple weeks ago, talked about the heart signs. I just wanted to give you an update. We haven't dropped the idea, but we're going to table the idea until fall, I guess, because we're doing a lot of work on the 200th anniversary celebration book, and that's kind of taking up the bandwidth. But also, I want to give an early warning that people that are interested in ringing bells through the summer, we're not going to stop. So the bell ringing is to raise awareness or continue awareness for climate crisis. It's 11th hour. So on the 11th day at 11 o'clock for 11 minutes, we ring the bells. So next opportunity is June 11th. That's right. Tuesday. I think so. Anyway, hope to see you there. Oh, and also, we carry signs out front that tell what we're doing.
Also on June 16th, the third Sunday, we're going to have our church picnic, and that'll be at the Greenfield River Park. Yeah. So anyway, more information. Keep your eyes posted. Anybody else?
Amen. Thank you for being here. And thanks for, you know, this is the fourth Sunday is what I've done, and that seems to have come to an end, but we'll figure out something. We'll figure out something.
I guess it's just the three of us, Carlin.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
But, yeah. I think it's Newt Gingrich and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, I left. That's why I said to mute. That. I don't know. I don't think I've been made.
It's fine. We're good.
I haven't been made host. I don't know who was running today. I don't think it was Matt.
Ah,
So.
but when we speak, they can't hear us out in the church?
No, well, not unless they unplug the headphones and then plug it's possible to do that, but I don't think they're doing and that's not happening.
Okay, great.
And it does sound like he's muted the other channels. So how are you doing?
Great. We're really enjoying the beauty that Tom creates around our house. We've got a small piece of land that he does pollinator habitat for. And so at this time of year, it's particularly beautiful.
Do you take video of the bees to send to that site for UMass?
You know, we don't actually do that. Maybe he used to. He's been at this a long time. But you're right. There are people at UMass who are still discovering new bees. Is that what you're referring to? The scientists?
Yeah, well, it's a survey. UMass professor
Joan
did a video about a year, maybe 2 years ago, with a professor at UMass who basically it's a crowdsourced bee population survey, and also to see what the different bee. It's actually not honeybees. It's
native
bumblebees.
bees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bumblebees and native bees. Yeah, honeybees aren't native. People don't realize that, but you know. Are you talking about Joan Milam? Was she the professor?
Who?
Joan Milam, was she the professor that you worked with?
No.
Okay.
No, I forget the guy's name. But basically, it was the project was to see which flowers the bees were most attracted to, or what varieties of thing were out there that were being used as food. So
Tom wants to know about that. He just walked in. So did you say, Dan, that you made a video or watched a video from a professor at UMass who was studying which flowers the bees were attracted to?
Yes, we had a UMass professor. I actually did I think it was a Zoom meeting for at Social Justice. There's a project to encourage people to take short videos with your phone. There's a site where you can upload your videos of what bees are on what plants in your habitat.
Great.
And UMass is making a database of that.
Oh, wonderful.
I'll have to go back. It's been a long time, so I'll have to look back at that and see.
I asked him if it was Joan Milam, and he said no. It's a
That's a man.
at UMass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it's not that they're
Great.
trying to discover new bees; they're just trying to get data, crowdsourced data on what bees go to which flowers.
Yes,
And
but also,
native.
you know, the different. There's a key by which you can identify by the stripes on the backs of the bumblebees which variety they are.
Yeah. Right.
And so they're doing that. They have some AI thing that will identify things.
Oh, yeah.
And it, basically, you just take like a 5-second or 10-second video and upload it to this site.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I assume it's still going. I mean, it seems it's an ongoing project. So
Yeah, it's like a citizen science.
well, yeah,
Citizen
under this
science.
cooperative, it's sort of like it's the equivalent of the Audubon bird survey.
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh.
Although it's continuous, not just one weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
mhm. Okay.
Well, that's something for us to know about because we're certainly attracting.
I'll go back and see if I can find that.
Yeah, like,
It's actually, if it's buried on the. I'm not sure if it's on our church site or what the story is.
really?
I think the video of the hour-long presentation, you know, like PowerPoint slides and stuff like that, is probably buried in youtube.com/user/Franklin County UUs.
Oh, it was.
It may be there. It might be it, or it might be on the UMass website. I forget. I mean, I was in charge of doing the technical side of this,
And that's what might be on the UU site.
Yeah, it's possible. Sorry that I don't remember that as well as I should. I took a few videos in Conway of the bees that were attracted to our crabapple tree and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they find it useful.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, listen, enjoy the outside. It's a cloudy day here in Seattle.
Oh.
Yes, you get a few of those.
Yeah, and I'm suffering from a case of blepharitis.
Oh no, that's in your eyelids, right?
Right. Yeah, it's all red and swollen. It's hard to see out of that eye, and so which is why I'm using my video right now. When I came back from Massachusetts 2 weeks ago, after getting here, I came down with something resembling strep throat that then moved down into my lungs, and then it cleared up. And now I've got this eyelid thing that came out of nowhere. So I'm just falling apart. What can I say?
Are you catching things on all these airplanes that you've been on? I wonder. Is that a place?
I wear a mask.
You wear a
I
mask?
wear an N95 mask.
That's right. You told me that last time. It just doesn't seem normal that you would catch so many things in such a short time.
It's a little unusual, yeah.
Wow. Well,
in fact, I'm beginning to wonder if this might be related to the fact I had a root canal.
Oh, God.
On that side, and then it was capped off with a crown. And if there was any little bit of infection that was stuck in there, that might be part of it. And of course, I'm out in Seattle. I don't have a doctor here. I'm going to have to. I'm doing what the Mayo Clinic says is the only real treatment, which is to apply warm compresses to it periodically and keep it clean. I think I'm probably at the level where I need to have an antibiotic because my whole eye is puffed up.
Yeah.
Well,
only one, luckily. Otherwise, I couldn't do anything.
Jesus.
Wow. It sounds like it's time to find a doctor.
Yeah.
That you trust, a holistic kind of person.
I don't know. Ellen has one. I'm covered by Blue Cross of Massachusetts and Medicare, of course. This might be something. I'd rather go to an ophthalmologist
Mm-hmm.
than a GP, although
Sure.
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's more direct.
We have an ophthalmologist here, and I mean, you might have one too around here who could recommend one in Seattle. They're part of,
maybe.
they're part of
Yeah,
network.
I go to John. Oh gosh, I forgot his name.
Hmm.
The one who has an office in Greenfield near the Stop and Shop.
Oh, Frangie's, the Frangie office.
No.
That's what I associate with Stop and Shop. Near Stop.
Well,
and-
he's a block he's a block south of that, across the traffic light.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Where the auto cap places.
Right,
parts.
that one.
Yeah. I see that sign all the time, and I don't remember the name, but anyway, they might be able to. They might be part of a network, of people who they at least
I'll give that a try.
trust to refer. We see Pierre Alfred down Riddell Street. But yeah, I think you're right. Someone who specializes in eyes, who can actually see you. Although I've heard of ophthalmologists who actually will let you send in a picture of yourself, because they can zoom in so much with the pictures now on iPhone.
Right.
They can zoom in and see what they need to see on the external part of your eye. I heard that actually years ago, that they were extolling the virtues of the new iPhones, which were new like 5 years ago.
Right.
So you may not need to see someone literally if you find someone who's willing to get a picture from you.
It's pretty clear that it's blepharitis. It's not a stein. It's not. Could be chalcedon or something. Or chalcedon. There's some other eye ailment that's like this. They're all in the family of things. I have chronic dry eye, so that probably started it.
I do too. I have dry eye, and he told me, the ophthalmologist said, I have to use drops twice a day for the rest of my life. Do you do that?
No.
Special drops called Retain.
Yeah, that's what I use when I use it. Yeah, Cystane is what I use.
That's a different one. This one has no. Let me go get it.
No mercury.
I think it has no preservatives, which sounds
Right.
odd. I'll be right back. I'm a fan of telling you about it because I haven't had any problems, and I've been using it for, I guess, at least the whole pandemic. It started during the pandemic with the overuse of Zoom.
Is this the mineral oil one?
Let's see.
Yeah, I use that. I've used that.
And it says preservative free. It relieves irritation, long lasting comfort, which I can attest to, the long lasting comfort, as long as I use one drop in the morning and one in the evening, just consistently. Whenever I miss for a couple days, the discomfort comes back.
I don't have the discomfort. And what my optometrist told me was to do the warm cloth thing to open up my pores, and that does work. I hadn't done it for a while, which probably is part of the cause of the problem here.
The warm compresses on your closed eye.
Yeah, you put a wet towel in the microwave for 30 seconds and then sit with it on your eyes for like 5 minutes. And that works very well for me.
And so
it's also supposed to work well for this illness, which is awful, but.
Well, I don't know if doing it more might help more. That they can tell you. But are you saying that the moisture from the towel goes through your eyelid and gets where it needs to go into your eyes?
No, it's that it expands the tear ducts.
Oh, the warmth helps open the tear ducts.
Yeah.
Which helps make your eyes less dry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the part I haven't been doing, because I now remember Dr. Alfred saying, use the warm washcloth. What did you say? How many seconds in the?
Well, you don't want it to burn you, but 30 seconds. What I find in my microwave is 30 seconds with a wet washcloth that's wrung out is enough.
And then 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes.
I'm going to try that because I have to get in a new habit. You know, all of these things require a new habit. And that's one that I skipped after I dutifully bought, you know, a year's supply of these and committed to making time to put them in my eyes. It says it adds moisture to the aqueous layer. It replenishes something and reduces tear evaporation. I can't read
I
what
used that for a while. I used Retain at night and the Sustain during the day.
Huh. And
I didn't notice any difference between the two, so I just went with Sustain.
Yeah, I think it's less expensive. This one cost more, but he said
It has the individual. This is the one that has the individual little packets, right?
right, which I balked at and just experimented, and I find I can get 2 or 3 days out of one, and it hasn't hurt me yet. So I don't waste any of it. But anyway, thank you for reminding me about the other piece.
Thank you.
All
right, I'll see you next time, hopefully with both eyes.
Likewise. Take care.
Bye-bye.